Today, we will be learning about text connections. When we read, more often than not, we will be making connections to what we are reading. This is a skill that we use to link information in the text to what we already know or have experienced previously. As we make connections, we use our prior knowledge or schema. This is what we already know to help us make links to the text. At times, these links are between the text and our own life experiences. At other times, it could be between the text and another text, between the text and the world, or even between the text and the media. Let's see what all these text connections include. The first type of connections we can make is called text-to-self connections. This means that as we read, we are linking ideas in the text to our own experiences. It's like remembering something that happened to you. For example, as Johnny reads a book about two friends who had an argument, he thinks to himself, this reminds me of a time when Annie and I had a disagreement over what game to play. Reading the situation about the two characters in the book brought back to memory a similar experience Johnny had. Therefore, Johnny was making a text-to-self connection. A second type of connection we can make as we read is a text-to-text connections. This type of connections is evident when we are able to recognize similarities or differences in two different texts that may be based on the same topic or same theme. To show that we are making a text-to-text connection, we could start by saying, this book reminds me of a book called so-and-so. Or we could say something like, this passage reminds me of what I read in such and such a book. As we do this, we are sharpening our skills at making text-to-text connections. Next, we'll look at text-to-world connections. In this type of connections, we are linking what we are reading to someone else's experience or to an item of news. As you read, you may think, I heard about this on the news, or this happened to so-and-so. That's how we show that we are making text-to-world connections. Finally, we can make links that are called text-to-media connections. In such an instance, we are connecting the text being read to media such as something we have watched in a movie, on the television, in a video, or to something we've listened to on the radio or on a podcast. Here's an example of a text-to-media connections. As Annie reads a science book, she thinks to herself, this reminds me of something I've seen on the television in one of those National Geographic documentaries. Way to go, Annie! You have made a good text-to-media connection. So, what have we learned? Well, we have learned that as good readers, we should be making connections as we read, as this essential skill helps us to better understand what we are reading. We also learned that there are several kinds of connections we can make, namely text-to-self, text-to-text, text-to-world, and text-to-media connections. So, now that you know what text connections are, what are you waiting for? Go get a book and start making some connections.